Welcome back to HOA Rulebook. The group chat loved her story until the proof dropped. I am not bluffing. Sharon Whitfield yelled that I was suspended from amenities until I paid replacement costs. She stood on my driveway with a red folder clutched like it was evidence and refused to share, and behind her the package locker door hung open like a broken mouth. I work remote as a customer support lead. I need quiet. I need routine. The Clearbrook Village HOA in Tampa, Florida, had been fined for 6 months until Sharon took over the landscape committee and decided every problem in the complex was my fault. The locker door was left ajar that morning. I walked past it to grab my mail. 10 minutes later, Sharon cornered me at my car and claimed I forced it. I did not touch it, I told her. She pointed at the open door. I have witnesses, she said. I looked around. The parking lot was empty except for one guy loading groceries 3 rows over. He was not even facing us. Sharon pulled out a clear sleeve clipboard with a date box highlighted and waved it in my face. According to this complaint log, you were the last person seen near the lockers before the door was found damaged. I leaned closer. The date box was highlighted in yellow marker, but the rest of the form was a blur of tiny print. I could not read a single word of the complaint text itself. That does not prove anything, I said. She snapped the clipboard back. A box of phone accessories is missing. You will pay for the replacement, or I will suspend your pool and clubhouse access effective immediately. I did not take anything. If you fight me, I will make it worse, Sharon said. She turned and walked toward the clubhouse without waiting for a response. I stood there holding my car keys. My hands were shaking. I had 3 back-to-back client calls starting in 20 minutes and I could already feel the panic clawing up my throat. By noon, Sharon had emailed the entire community a vague notice about locker tampering and a reminder that vandalism violated the covenant. She did not name me, but she copied my address on the distribution list so everyone could see who the target was. My neighbor across the breezeway, Miguel, knocked on my door that afternoon. He is retired and keeps a camera pointed at the mailbox cluster because his packages kept disappearing last year. You did not do this, Miguel said. I checked my footage. You walked past the locker, stopped for maybe 5 seconds to look at it, then kept going. You never touched the door. Can you send me that clip? Miguel nodded. I sent it to your email 10 minutes ago. I also sent it to the management office. Sharon is lying. I checked my phone. The email was there. I opened the attachment. The footage was clean. I walked up to the cluster, glanced at the open locker door for a few seconds, then continued to my car. My hands never left my pockets. I forwarded it to Sharon with a single line. This proves I did not touch the locker. She replied in under a minute. Your footage is incomplete. I have a second camera angle that shows you tampering with the latch mechanism before this clip starts. I have already submitted my findings to management, and your suspension stands. I read the message twice. There was no second camera. The HOA did not even have working cameras at the mailbox cluster. The broken dome housing had been sitting empty for 2 years. I called the management office. The line rang 4 times before a woman named Linda picked up. Clearbrook Village, this is Linda. I need to dispute a suspension. Sharon Whitfield claimed I damaged a package locker and stole a box of phone accessories. I have doorbell footage proving I did not touch the locker. Linda sighed. She put me on hold. 2 minutes later, she came back. Sharon already filed a formal complaint this morning. She included a witness statement and photographs of the damaged latch. Your suspension is active until you either pay the replacement cost or request a hearing. What is the replacement cost? $412. Parts and labor. For a locker door latch? And the stolen merchandise. Sharon provided a receipt showing the value of the missing items. I forwarded you footage proving I did not touch the locker. Did you see it? We received 2 separate video files this morning. Yours and one from Sharon. Hers shows activity near the locker at a different timestamp. Management is reviewing both. What timestamp? I cannot share that information until the review is complete. When does the review finish? End of business today. The management office closes at 5. It was already 3:30. I need to deliver a dispute packet in person before you close. You can drop it off, but I cannot guarantee it will be reviewed before the suspension takes effect. I hung up and opened my laptop. I had 90 minutes to build a case. I pulled Miguel's footage again and checked the metadata. The timestamp was clear. The clip started at 8:14 in the morning and ran for 47 seconds. I walked into frame at 8:15 and left at 8:16. No tampering. No contact with the locker. I wrote a 1-page summary with bullet points. I attached the video file. I printed 3 copies. Miguel knocked again. You going to the office? Yes. I am coming with you. Sharon tried this same thing with another guy last year. She claimed he damaged a sprinkler head and made him pay $200 before anyone checked the work order. Turns out the sprinkler was never damaged. The landscaper admitted Sharon asked him to write a fake invoice. I grabbed my keys and the dispute packet. Miguel followed me down the stairs. We walked across the complex toward the management office. Halfway there, Sharon stepped out from behind a parked SUV. She was holding the red folder and a tablet. You are not allowed to submit disputes after suspension, Sharon said. That is in the bylaws. I kept walking. There is no such rule. She moved to block the sidewalk. If you enter the management office while suspended, I will call the police for trespassing. Miguel stepped forward. He does not work for the HOA. He is allowed to go to the office. Sharon turned the tablet toward us. The screen showed a paused video frame. The image was grainy and the time bar was unreadable, but it appeared to show someone standing near the mailbox cluster in dim lighting. This is from 6:43 this morning, Sharon said. Before your footage starts. You can clearly see the suspect reaching toward the locker. The figure in the frame was too blurry to identify. The lighting was wrong. The angle was wrong. That is not me, I said. The timestamp proves you were there earlier than you claimed. My footage starts at 8:14. That frame is from over an hour before I even left my unit. Sharon smiled. Then you will have no problem explaining why your car is parked in the same spot in both clips. I looked at the frame again. The car in the distant background was a dark sedan. Half the complex drove dark sedans. That could be anyone, Miguel said. Sharon tucked the tablet under her arm. I already submitted this evidence to management. They are aware you have been uncooperative. We walked past her. She did not follow. The management office was a small converted unit near the front gate. Linda was at the desk when we walked in. I need to submit this dispute before 5, I said, and handed her the packet. Linda flipped through the pages. I will add it to the file, but the board representative already submitted a full incident report. Your case will go to a hearing if you do not accept the payment plan. What payment plan? $50 a month until the balance is cleared. I did not damage anything. Linda looked at Miguel. Are you a witness? Yes. I have footage showing he did not touch the locker. We already have your footage. Sharon submitted a second clip showing earlier activity. That clip does not show his face, Miguel said. You cannot identify anyone in that frame. The board representative certified it as evidence. If you want to challenge it, you will need to request a formal hearing. When is the hearing? 4 weeks. I felt the panic spike again. 4 weeks of suspension. 4 weeks of Sharon spreading rumors. 4 weeks of being treated like a thief in my own neighborhood. I left the office with Miguel. Sharon was waiting by the mailbox cluster with 2 other residents I did not recognize. She was holding the red folder and pointing at the open locker door. "This is what happens when people ignore the rules," Sharon said loud enough for us to hear. One of the residents glanced at me and then looked away quickly. Miguel shook his head. "She is doing this on purpose." That night, I went through every email Sharon had sent to the community in the last 3 months. Most of them were complaints about landscaping or parking. But 2 stood out. The first was from 6 weeks ago. Sharon had demanded a surprise inspection of another resident's garage for unauthorized storage. The resident refused, and Sharon threatened to fine him for noncompliance. The fine was later dropped after the resident hired a lawyer. The second was from 8 weeks ago. Sharon had tried to confiscate a holiday decoration from someone's porch, claiming it violated the aesthetic guidelines. The decoration was a small wooden sign. Sharon brought a portable printer to the confrontation and printed a violation notice on the spot while the resident filmed her. I screenshotted both emails and added them to a new folder on my desktop. The next morning, Sharon was on my porch before 7. She was holding a small cardboard box in the red folder. "This was found near your trash cans," Sharon said. "It is a torn mailer with your address visible. Inside was packaging material that matches the stolen phone accessories." I looked at the box. The label was smudged and the corners were crushed. It did not look like any package I had ordered recently. I did not throw that away. "It was in your trash area. That makes it your responsibility. Anyone could have put it there." Sharon opened the red folder and pulled out a printed photograph. The image showed the torn mailer sitting on top of a trash bag. My unit number was visible on a small sticker in the background. "This proves the stolen items were in your possession. That proves someone put trash near my cans." She tucked the photo back into the folder. "I am escalating this to a formal theft investigation. You will need to allow a property inspection of your garage and porch storage within 48 hours or face additional fines. I am not letting you inspect my property without a warrant." "Then you are admitting guilt," Sharon said. She turned and walked toward the stairs. I called Miguel. He answered on the second ring. Sharon just tried to frame me with a torn package she claims she found in my trash. "I saw her walking around the complex with a box this morning. She was near the dumpster around 6:30. "Can your camera see the dumpster area?" "No. But the pool attendant might have seen something. He opens the gate at 6. I walked to the pool. The attendant was a college kid named Eric. He was skimming leaves from the surface. "Did you see Sharon near the trash area this morning?" Eric looked up. "Yeah. She was digging through the dumpster around 6:30. She pulled out a box and walked toward your building. Did you see her put anything in the box?" "No. But she had the box when she left. Can you write that down?" Eric nodded. "I can email you." I went back to my unit and checked my doorbell footage. Sharon had been on my porch at 6:52. The timestamp was clear. But Miguel said she was near the dumpster at 6:30. That gave her 22 minutes to plant the evidence and walk to my door. I saved the doorbell clip and added it to the dispute folder. That afternoon, Sharon sent an email to the community. The subject line was "Urgent Compliance Reminder." The body text claimed that a resident under investigation for theft had refused a lawful property inspection and that further action was being considered. She did not name me, but my unit number was in the CC line again. Miguel forwarded me a reply he had sent to the entire list. He wrote that Sharon had been seen digging through the dumpster that morning and that her evidence was fabricated. He attached Eric's statement. Sharon replied within minutes. She claimed Miguel was interfering with an official investigation and that his camera footage had been selectively edited. She demanded that the management office remove Miguel's access to the community portal pending a review. If you are enjoying this story, hit like and subscribe. I have plenty more HOA nightmares coming your way. Linda from the management office called me that evening. "Sharon has requested an emergency suspension of your portal access. She claims you have been uploading defamatory material. I uploaded a dispute packet with evidence. Sharon claims the evidence is fabricated. She submitted a formal request to have it removed from the file. Can she do that? Not without board approval. But she is pressuring me to disable your login while the review is pending. When is the review? The board meets in 3 weeks. That is after the hearing date. I know. I am sorry. Sharon is standing in the lobby right now demanding that I lock you out. I grabbed my keys. I will be there in 5 minutes. I drove to the management office. Sharon was inside, leaning on the counter with the red folder open in front of Linda. A rolling file cart was parked beside her like it was a courtroom exhibit. You cannot remove my portal access without cause, I said. Sharon turned. You have been harassing board members and spreading false information. That is cause. I submitted a dispute with evidence. That is not harassment. Your evidence is incomplete. I have additional documentation proving your involvement. She pulled a stapled packet from the file cart and slapped it on the counter. This is a signed witness statement from a delivery driver confirming that you were seen tampering with the locker on the morning in question. I picked up the packet. The witness statement was a single paragraph on generic letterhead. The signature at the bottom was illegible. There was no company name, no contact information, no date. This is not a real witness statement. Sharon snatched it back. It was submitted under penalty of perjury. Then I want the driver's name and contact information so I can verify it. That information is confidential. Linda stood up. I need both of you to step back. This is not the place for this. Sharon pointed at me. He is using the portal to upload fake evidence. I need his access suspended immediately. I turned to Linda. Check the upload log. My dispute packet was submitted yesterday at 4:15. Sharon is trying to bury it. Linda sat down and opened her computer. She clicked through several screens. The upload is still in the system. It has not been removed. Yet, Sharon said, I am requesting that it be removed pending verification. You cannot remove evidence from a dispute file without board approval. Then I am calling an emergency board meeting. The next board meeting is in 3 weeks. Sharon grabbed the red folder and slammed it shut. Fine. I will handle this myself. She turned and pushed the rolling file cart toward the door. One of the wheels caught on the door frame. The cart tipped. Papers spilled across the floor. Sharon bent down to gather them, and a small plastic bag slid out from under a stack of folders. Miguel had just walked into the lobby. He saw the bag and stopped. What is that? Miguel said. Sharon grabbed the bag and shoved it into her coat pocket. Nothing. Miguel stepped closer. That looked like a phone charger. It is none of your business. Eric, the pool attendant, was standing behind Miguel. He pointed at the bag. That is the same bag Sharon had this morning when she was at the dumpster. Sharon stood up. You are all harassing me. I will have every one of you fined. Linda came around the desk. Sharon, I need to see what is in that bag. No. If that bag contains property reported stolen, I have to document it. Sharon backed toward the door. This is a setup. Miguel pulled out his phone. I am recording this. Sharon turned and walked out. The rolling file cart was still on its side in the doorway. Linda looked at me. I am going to need a statement from everyone who just saw that. I spent the next hour writing down everything that had happened. Miguel and Eric did the same. Linda made copies and added them to the file. That night, Sharon sent another email to the community. She claimed that several residents had conspired to fabricate evidence against her and that she was considering legal action for defamation. Miguel replied to the list again. He wrote that Sharon had been caught with stolen property in the management office and that the incident had been documented. Sharon replied with a single line. I have witnesses. The next morning, I got a call from a tow company. The driver said he had been dispatched to remove my car for unpaid parking violations. I do not have any parking violations, I said. The caller said the HOA Landscape Committee chair authorized the tow. Sharon does not have the authority to call a tow without a valid violation notice. She said she does. She is on the line right now if you want to talk to her. Put her on. There was a pause. Then Sharon's voice came through. Your car is parked in a guest spot. That is a violation. I am parked in my assigned spot. Not according to the diagram I submitted to the tow company. I walked outside. My car was in my numbered spot. The paint lines were faded but visible. The driver is pulling up now, Sharon said. If you do not move your car, it will be towed at your expense. I looked toward the entrance. A flatbed tow truck was idling near the gate. I called the tow company back and asked to speak to a supervisor. When he picked up, I explained the situation. Do you have proof of your assigned spot? The supervisor asked. Yes. My lease agreement lists the spot number. Can you send me a photo? I took a picture of my car with the spot number visible in the frame and texted it to the number he provided. The supervisor called back 2 minutes later. We are not towing your car. The person who called this in does not have the proper authorization. She claimed she is the landscape committee chair. That does not give her the authority to request a tow. We need a signed violation notice from property management or a board resolution. Can you document this? We already have it in our system. If she calls again, we will not respond. I hung up and walked toward the gate. Sharon was standing beside the tow truck talking to the driver. When she saw me, she waved the red folder. This is your last warning, she shouted. The driver looked at her. Lady, I do not have authorization for this. I am leaving. You work for the HOA. I am ordering you to tow that car. I work for the tow company. I do not take orders from you. The driver climbed into the cab and pulled out. Sharon stood in the empty space with the red folder hanging at her side. Miguel came down from his unit. Did she really just try to tow your car? Yes. That is insane. She is desperate, I said. The evidence is piling up and she knows it. That afternoon, I got an email from Linda. The board had scheduled an emergency meeting to review the theft investigation. The meeting was in 2 days. I replied asking if I could attend. Linda said the meeting was closed to non-board members, but I could submit a written statement. I wrote 3 pages. I included the doorbell footage, Miguel's camera clip, Eric's witness statement, the timeline proving Sharon planted the evidence, and the documentation from the tow company showing she had tried to abuse her authority. I printed 5 copies and put them in a binder. I added tabs for each section. The night before the meeting, Sharon sent a final email to the community. She claimed that the board was being pressured by a coordinated campaign of harassment and that she would be presenting evidence of criminal activity at the meeting. Miguel forwarded me a reply. He wrote that Sharon had been caught with stolen items and that her accusations were a distraction. Sharon did not reply. The meeting was at 6:30 in the clubhouse. I was not allowed inside, but Miguel stood outside the window and texted me updates. Sharon showed up with the rolling file cart and the red folder. She spent 20 minutes presenting her case. She claimed I had been tampering with packages for months and that the locker incident was part of a larger pattern. Then the board asked to see her evidence. Sharon opened the file cart and pulled out a stack of printed emails. She handed them to the board president. The president read the first page and stopped. This email is from you to yourself. Sharon leaned forward. That is a copy of the complaint log. The metadata shows you created this document yesterday, the president said. The date on the form says it was filed 6 weeks ago. That is when I started the log. But the file was created yesterday. I updated the format. The president set the page down. Do you have the original? Sharon shuffled through the cart. I have it somewhere. The board vice president spoke up. We also received a statement from the management office documenting an incident where you were seen with stolen property. That was a misunderstanding. 3 witnesses gave statements. They are lying. The president closed the folder. Sharon, we are going to need you to step outside while we deliberate. Sharon stood up. If you side with him, I will take this to the county. You are free to do that, the president said. Sharon grabbed the red folder and walked out. She did not take the file cart. Miguel texted me. They are going through the cart right now. 10 minutes later, the board president came outside. He asked to speak to me. We reviewed your evidence, he said. The board has voted to dismiss all charges and reverse your suspension. We are also recommending that Sharon step down from the landscape committee pending a full audit of her records. What about the stolen items? We found the phone accessories in her file cart, along with several other items that were reported missing over the last few months. Are you involving the police? That is up to the victims. We are documenting everything and providing it to management. I went home and called Miguel. It is over. Not yet, Miguel said. Sharon still has to face the consequences. The next day, the HOA sent an email to the community. The message was short. It stated that the theft investigation had been resolved and that the accused resident had been cleared of all charges. It also announced that Sharon Whitfield had resigned from the landscape committee effective immediately. Sharon did not reply to the email. 2 days later, I got a call from a deputy with the county sheriff's office. He said multiple residents had filed theft complaints and that Sharon was being investigated. I provided my evidence and the deputy took notes. He said the case would be forwarded to the prosecutor. A week later, Miguel knocked on my door. He was holding his phone. You need to see this. He showed me a local news article. The headline read, "Former HOA leader charged with theft and fraud." The article included Sharon's name and a mugshot. Miguel grinned. Karma. I forwarded the article to Linda at the management office. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji. That afternoon, I ran into Eric at the pool. He was skimming leaves again. Did you see the news? Eric asked. Yes. Wild. I knew she was shady, but I did not think she would actually get arrested. She pushed too hard, I said. She thought she could bully everyone into silence. Eric nodded. Glad you did not back down. I went back to my unit and opened my laptop. My work queue was clear for the first time in weeks. No emergency calls. No HOA emails. No threats. 3 weeks later, the HOA held a general meeting. The board announced that a management audit had been ordered to review all committee expenses and complaint logs. The audit revealed that Sharon had been misreporting violations and inflating repair costs for over a year. Several residents who had paid fines were issued refunds. The board also announced new oversight rules. Committee chairs would no longer have unilateral authority to issue violations or request vendor services without board approval. Miguel stood up during the open comment period. He said the reforms were overdue and thanked the board for taking action. Another resident asked what would happen to Sharon. The board president said the criminal case was ongoing and that the HOA was cooperating with investigators. After the meeting, I walked back to my unit. Miguel caught up with me near the mailbox cluster. You did good, Miguel said. We did good, I said. I could not have done it without your footage. Any time. She had it coming. A month later, I was sitting on my porch when a car pulled up. It was Linda from the management office. She got out holding a clipboard. I wanted to drop this off in person, she said. She handed me a check. It was a refund for the suspension fees and the disputed replacement costs. The board approved full reimbursement, Linda said, plus a formal apology letter. I looked at the check. $412. Thank you. You earned it. Sharon tried to run this place like a dictatorship. I am glad someone finally stood up to her. Linda got back in her car and drove off. That evening I ran into Eric at the pool again. He was closing up for the night. "Hey," Eric said. "I heard Sharon took a plea deal." "What kind of deal?" "Restitution and probation. No jail time, but she has to pay back everyone she scammed." "How much?" "Over $6,000. I whistled. "That is a lot of stolen phone chargers." Eric laughed. "Yeah, she really thought she could get away with it." I went home and opened my laptop. My inbox was quiet. The HOA portal had no new alerts. The complex felt normal again. 2 months later, I was at the grocery store when I saw Sharon in the parking lot. She was loading bags into her car. When she saw me, she froze. I walked past her without saying anything. She called after me. "You ruined my life." I stopped and turned. "You did that yourself." "I had witnesses," Sharon said. Her voice cracked. "No, you did not." I walked to my car and drove home. I never saw her again. The following week, Miguel knocked on my door. He was holding a bottle of wine. "Victory drink," Miguel said. We sat on my porch and watched the sun set over the complex. The locker door had been replaced. The mailbox cluster was quiet. "You think she learned anything?" Miguel asked. "I doubt it," I said. "People like that never do." Miguel poured 2 glasses. "Well, at least she is someone else's problem now." We clinked glasses. The Clearbrook Village HOA is quiet these days. The new landscape committee chair sends polite emails and follows the rules. The board holds open meetings. The management office responds to disputes without drama. I still have the evidence binder in my closet. I have not opened it in months, but I keep it just in case. Because you never know when someone will test you again. And when they do, you better have receipts. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being here.